You've stretched, you've iced, maybe even tried physical therapy, but your knees, they're still hurting. If you're active but feel like your body's betraying you, hey, I get it. Because the truth is, most people treat knee pain at the knee instead of looking at the body as a whole. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain and showing you what really keeps knee pain lingering, and it's not your age or your weight. Hey everyone, I'm Chrissy Williford. I'm known as the pain-free miracle worker because after 8 years of dealing with my own chronic pain, I finally found the answers I was looking for when doctors and therapists couldn't. Now I'm helping men and women just like you eliminate their own pain so they can tone up, get stronger, and live life on their own terms. So here's the thing, it's not just your knee. It's how your body moves in a global way. You see, our body is one total system. It's a whole conglomeration of bones and muscles and tendons and ligaments and connective tissue and all of these different components that allow us to be mobile and move our body from point A to point B, allowing us to walk, run, jump, play, squat, bend over, pick things up. It all works together. So when you have pain, like knee pain, and it's being approached in a way of only looking at the point of pain, that's where your pain is in your body, when you're only looking there for the answer, it eliminates all of the other opportunities to help you feel better faster because our joints work together. Our muscles pull on our bones. Our joints allow those bones to move in different patterns and ranges of motion. And there are opposite joints, just like there are opposite muscles. For example, biceps opposite of the tricep, bicep, tricep, and shoulders and hips are opposite. Shoulder joint to hip joint are opposite. So when we're only focused on the one main pain point and where the pain actually lies in your body, we're missing all of this other opportunity to help you recover faster, feel better, move easier. And because your body is a global system and all the joints and muscles and bones do work together to move your body, then the knee a lot of times is the victim or the result of something else if you have pain there, rather than the cause in the first place. So a lot of traditional pain solution approaches teach to train and develop the quad. That's the muscle in the front of your thigh. Sure, its responsibility is knee action. However, if you are only focusing on the quad, in my experience with non-impact related pain, you are making the problem worse because it doesn't eliminate the compensation. Many times, a hip dysfunction is the cause of knee pain. And when we look at the hip dysfunction and we correct the mechanic of the hip, when we get your glutes turned on and working, your butt muscles, when we get those working better, it takes the load or the force that's being absorbed into the knee joint away. And when that happens, your body now mechanically begins to move better, easier, and it's absorbing force in the way that it's supposed to. So it takes all of that load and pressure off of the knee. The compensation when your hips aren't working well, many times, not always, but many times, is the quad takes over. So the quad does the work of the quad. The quad also takes over the work of, let's say, your glutes and maybe some other things in your body. So it's doing all of these other responsibilities plus its own, and that contributes to more pain, more discomfort that you feel in that knee joint. What I always recommend is focusing on hip function first, getting that to work better, getting it to improve, getting the glutes to come on and work better, get them to activate, come along and play, be able to take some of that load and propel your body like they're supposed to, and getting the quad to relax more and to calm down and to not be so overactive with thinking that it has to do the work of your whole body. When we shift the focus into the hip joint, it allows for less force and pressure and discomfort on the knee, and it really resolves the knee pain a lot faster. Sometimes it's more immediate, sometimes it happens over time. So there is some ongoing training or development that needs to happen. And then over time, it will improve and get better. So it depends on your level of compensations. It depends on how long you've been doing that. And it depends on your willingness to participate in your own active healing and recovery. There are several things that contribute to knee pain. One of the most common is the amount of time that you spend sitting. And it's even more common today just because the nature of our work. We drive everywhere that we go. We get home from work where we've been sitting all day, and we like maybe have dinner and then sit on the couch and watch TV until we go to bed. So we're never really spending a lot of time in that open hip position. Our hip flexors get really tight and the glute can't work. It's just physiologically impossible for both muscles to be in a contracted state at both times. So, because remember, muscles work like this, right? So if both muscles are doing this, it's just going to wreak havoc on your body. Like, it's just impossible that even would happen. So our bodies are just not meant to work that way. When the hip flexor gets tight, the butt muscle in the back of the hip can't really work. So this stays in a contracted state all the time. It's one of the reasons why when you stand up out of a chair, you have like, I don't know, it's almost like you have to like wiggle yourself into it to get yourself upright. And that happens a lot. That's even something that I experience if I'm spending a lot of time sitting at a desk. So the amount of time that you spend sitting does contribute to knee pain. In fact, the other day, well, a few weeks ago, I had this like weird knee pain. Knee pain is not something that I particularly have had in my history, but this like weird knee pain, it was definitely uncomfortable, and it affected like how I was working out and the exercise selection that I had. And I knew it was from sitting around all the time. And so I actively got to work on myself for a few weeks to get it to resolve. And it was just a process of like getting my quad to relax a little bit, stop sitting so much. First of all, getting my quad to relax a little bit, and then just getting my glutes to be a little bit more active. So one of the ways that you can help yourself with this is to get up and walk around every hour, really. You can set a timer on your phone for that. You can there are different timers on the internet that you can use for that. And get up and make yourself move around. Go to the bathroom, talk to somebody in the office, take a walk around the office, go outside for a minute. Anything that gets you vertical and upright into that open hip position is going to help you with that. Because, I mean, let's be honest, we can't always stop ourselves from sitting, especially if that's the nature of our work. But what we can do is be smart about implementing different strategies to help us manage that so our body's not so uncomfortable. You also could get a standing desk. There are little tabletop desks that you can get that are really not very expensive these days. When they first started coming out, they were pretty expensive, but now they're reasonable. You can get one of those, put your computer on it, and have a stand-up desk. I mostly work on a laptop, so I'll get a chair and put it up on top of the desk. And then I'm a taller person, so it's a pretty good height for me. But you also could do something like that. Get creative with ways that you can support yourself to stand up and move around more throughout your workday if the nature of your work is sitting oriented. There is a smarter way to move if you have knee pain, especially if you're exercising. I definitely do not think that the answer is to keep doing what you're doing if you're having pain, and that's with any pain in your body, any joint pain that you have. Because somewhere in all of that, what you're doing now is contributing to or causing the discomfort and the pain that you feel in your body. So what's that saying? Continuing to do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, is the definition of insanity. Many times with exercise, it's confusing because we'll say we'll do something different. And to the general population, what that means is if I'm doing cardio on a treadmill or outside, then stop doing that and start doing cardio on an elliptical. And it is a different modality of exercise, yes. But when we're saying do something different, it doesn't mean do a different modality of exercise in the same pattern of movement. It means do a different pattern of movement. So instead of changing your cardio equipment, do something that's more strength training oriented, because you do get different patterns of movement. When you have pain in a joint and you're doing a movement that hurts, let's say you're doing squats and you work out with weights, you're doing squats. When you're doing that and you have pain, the pain is a sign from your brain. It's a signal saying, hey, stop doing that. Like your brain's trying to get you to stop doing that because it doesn't like it for whatever reason. But when you move through those pain points, it's almost like a fight's going on in your brain, because your brain's saying, don't do that. I don't like that. It hurt. That's why I'm creating pain, to get you to stop. But you're communicating back to your brain, no, this is okay. We're going to keep doing it, which creates threat, which your brain doesn't like. And what happens is it will do more and more and more of creating pain and discomfort in your body to actually get you to stop. That's the whole thing. Like your brain's trying to get you to stop. You're just not listening, and you keep pushing through the pain and keep doing the same things. And your brain just doesn't like it. It's like, okay, you're not listening, so let me just do something else. Let me do more. And then ultimately you're going to end up with something that puts you down, like a torn tissue, or you have to have some kind of surgery, or something like that's going to show up where it actually takes you out of the game altogether. And so the best strategy is to actually do something different. Think about how your body is moving. If you're doing a squat is the same thing as sitting down in a chair and standing up, sitting down on the toilet and standing up, getting in and out of your car, especially if it's low to the ground. It's the same thing as squatting down to pick up your child. It's the same thing as all of those things. So even though we're doing them in our daily life, when we're actively in pursuit of continuing to do that squat mechanic, for example, here, instead of continuing to do the same patterns, because like you do need to squat down and pick up your child, and you do need to go to the toilet, and you do sit down and stand up from chairs and your desk and your car and whatever. And those are lifestyle oriented things that the squat really is kind of required for you to do them. But what's not required is that you go into the gym and you load yourself in a squat pattern and you continue to do that and just beat yourself down like that. Instead, stop doing those patterns of movement. So that would be squats and lunges and knee extensions. Allow the quad to relax a little bit and focus more on hip and glute development, doing things like hip thrusters, maybe hip bridges if you can't do hip thrusters, hinge movements, different core activations, because your butt muscles are part of your core system, and targeted glute activation stuff like band walks and stuff like that. Really low load band work is really great for that. And if a muscle is underactive, then it's an activation, a turn on, and then it's a recruitment issue. And so you're not going to be able to load them as much because they're just not as active, which means they're not going to be as strong. And so remove the compensation, pull back on anything that's knee dominant and quad active exercises, implement things that are more glute focused and hip function targeted. And over time, it'll balance itself out. It may take a little bit of time, let's say a couple of months, 1 month to 3 months or something like that, and it will balance itself back out. And then your discomfort's going to resolve itself a little bit, and then you can add back in those squat, lunges, knee dominant exercises and things like that. I'd love to know, what's one thing that you've done for your knee pain, and did it work for you or did it not? And did it work for you for a little bit of time, but then it came back at some point and you had to do it all over again? I would love to know that. If you'll put that in the comments for me below. You know, if your workouts feel more like survival than strength building and your knees are constantly paying the price, maybe it's time for a different approach. This is the exact kind of stuff that I work on with my clients every day. It's always looking at what's going on with your body, where do your compensations lie, what muscles are underactive, and how can we shift the dynamic and what's going on in your body in a global way to get you where you want to go faster. So if this resonates with you, make sure that you're following along and subscribe so you can stay tuned, because I've got more coming that may just change the way that you move for good. I'll see you on the next one.